Hey everyone, welcome to CyberSense Insights Connect. I'm Rob Mossi, Senior Director of Product Marketing here at Index Engines, and today is a brief discussion with Brian White. Brian, why don't you take a second and introduce yourself?
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, Rob. My name is Brian White. I'm a senior consultant in product marketing at Dell Technologies, and I focus on cyber recovery and data protection. And I'm glad to be here today to talk a little bit of insights on CyberSense.
Excellent. So today we're going to go through just a few questions with Brian, a little bit around Dell, a little bit around CyberSense itself. So Brian, I think the first one lands in your plate.
Yeah, that's the good part about this conversation. We're going to be throwing things back and forth, and I want to know some things about index engines, right, and what CyberSense is doing, right? CyberSense has validated a new 99.9% SLA on the accuracy of detecting corruption. You have that. You've won numerous awards over the last few months. And this is really a reason that CyberSense is part of it or an integral part of PowerProtect Cyber Recovery. But you guys got to tell me what's going on over there at Index Engines with CyberSense.
Well, I really appreciate the question and the kudos there because we have won a couple of awards. The first is for artificial intelligence, AI in cybersecurity innovation. And the most recent one after that was a 2024 Fortress Cybersecurity Artificial Intelligence Award. So both of these awards are very pertinent to the SLA because the SLA itself, and let me back up just a second, but the SLA is not necessarily what some people might think an SLA is, right? Especially your compadres over there at Dell, who happen to think of it as uptime and availability. This is really, or even a time-bound SLA where you're trying to, a task comes in and you associate a certain amount of time to be able to get said task done. CyberSense upholds this SLA as far as software releases are concerned. And what does that mean? We hold each release up to 99.99% accuracy in the detection of ransomware behavior in the data that we analyze. So that's really an important distinction, I think, in being able to determine what the SLA really is and kind of what it isn't. But for now, we're focusing on that what it is portion.
Good.
So it's a standard here at Index Engines that we test against known ransomware variants and malware in order to maintain this particular accuracy in the detection at 99.99%. And if a release candidate does not meet this standard, we actually go backwards and we retrain. We actually look at the variants, we retrain the ML, we retrain the AI on that ML, and we make sure that that we can achieve that 4 nines of accuracy. Then and only then do we release the software to our partners such as you guys over at Dell Technologies.
Gotcha. That's pretty slick.
Yeah.
Testing, right? And
right. And to that point, variants. Brian, I'm sorry to interrupt, but to that point, we actually test against over 7,000 different ransomware variants. These are not made up ransomware variants. These are actual ransomware variants that we have pulled into our lab so that we can track what they do to data. We can track the patterns of behavior. We can identify those patterns of behavior. And then we can also, this is where the important part comes in, is we can help companies identify what they need to do after an attack has occurred. So help them curate a much smarter recovery.
Smarter recoveries. I think that is really slick. That's real good information. I love the SLAs. And hey, keep getting those awards. That's what we're talking about. That's a good thing.
Yeah. One last point I just want to kind of make sure that we get across here. And on the testing itself, just to show how deep we actually tested this, we looked at over 125 different samples in order to test the SLA. We infected over 94,000 of those 125,000 were infected with some of those actual ransomware variants that I mentioned. We only missed 3 files in our first pass. So that's
Wow.
really what brings us to that 4 nines right there. It's just our dedication to the accuracy, to training the AI and the ML to identify those patterns of behavior.
That's pretty slick. That's awesome. I love to hear that. I love that in-depthness of being able to understand the behavior of things that aren't supposed to be there, right? That's really like, hey, you're not
Yeah.
supposed to be there, and that's what you guys find. So I think that's awesome. Good stuff.
Brian, you mentioned that CyberSense is a key component of Dell's Power Protect cyber recovery with CyberSense. Um,
Mhm.
how about you take us through what you guys did with a commissioned testing between CyberSense and one of the leading competitors?
Oh, awesome, awesome. Yeah, so one of the great things about Power Protect Cyber Recovery itself, right, using CyberSense is we're able to isolate critical data into a cyber vault, analyze that data, and make it readily available to restore, right? So we commission principal technologies to compare cyber recovery with CyberSense with another known data protection product on the market. And we did 3 tests. The first test was it encrypted the files and obfuscated the file name. So CyberSense was able to detect the issue on the first backup pass, and I'm going to call it Vendor X. Vendor X was able to detect the issue as well, but it took them 15 backups to detect it, right? CyberSense 1, Vendor X 15.
I like that ratio.
Then the next test was we encrypted the files, but we kept the original name, right? CyberSense detected it on the first backup, and Vendor X, it detected it, but it took it 15 backups, a little bit more, right? As again. And then the third test was infecting the Microsoft SQL Server page. Now, this is the database. So CyberSense, once again, detected it on the first scan, the first backup. And Vendor X, it actually didn't detect it at all. So, right? I mean, we was kind of surprised, but hey, when you look at it, this shows you the depth, right, that CyberSense goes into, that full contents analytics, the ransomware variants that you talked about, that you test against to make CyberSense very intrinsic and very smart, right, to be able to find corruption in data. That's that 99.9% SLA that you were talking about. It's building the confidence. And this really says a lot about CyberSense and cyber recovery with CyberSense as a whole. We want to make sure that we can detect data as soon as possible, as opposed to 2 weeks out of corruption in order to help customers recover their data and move on from, a cyber attack that they may be having or not in that fashion.
And
It's good stuff.
I really love the use of your word confidence
Yeah.
in this scenario as well, because being able to just reiterating a little bit of what you just talked about, achieve the results that you're looking to achieve on your first pass.
Yes.
You have the confidence that CyberSense is going to do its job, is going to identify the behavior of those ransomware variants, and really provide a way out of a very dark place that some
Yeah.
people might get themselves into.
Yes, and that's really the key, right? Making sure the integrity of that data is intact, so I can restore it or get back to business as fast as possible, and not have to pay a ransom. Those are big things that's happening right now. So um, let's talk about data integrity, right? We talked about how deep CyberSense can go in and understand that integrity of the data, but it kind of sounds self-explanatory. But what is it? And actually, Rob, what does it really mean?
I'm so glad you asked this question. This is probably when you really have to boil down CyberSense. I think data integrity are the 2 words that I think really embody what CyberSense is all about. Um, it sounds so self-explanatory, right? Because we
Mhm.
we do everything that we possibly can to maintain data integrity. And
Right.
getting back to kind of my intro on what an SLA is and isn't, right? From a storage perspective, you folks at Dell, you're all about maintaining, the integrity of data on primary storage, on secondary storage, within the backups,
Right.
within a snapshot. That's where, that's kind of what you guys are all about, and being able to
Mhm.
offer your customers that as well. When ransomware is involved, data integrity is what's compromised, right? The inherent behavior of ransomware physically changes the data within
Mhm.
primary, secondary, snapshots, backups, et cetera. So
Yeah.
that's where we, I think, really come into play, is to be able to leverage our big differentiator, which is the monitoring of your data and maintaining its data integrity. Now, are we going to be able to change something that has that's the metadata has been changed? No, but we can help facilitate a smarter recovery of that data. And
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit about what that ultimately means. But I
Okay.
think, Brian, you also talked about it in the last question. We talked about confidence
Yeah.
and data integrity, whether it's on your primary storage, whether it's within your backups, or whether you're recovering from a ransomware attack. It's having the confidence that you have the integrity behind everything all, so that you can recover quickly and safely and with minimum damage
Yeah.
to IT, from your wallet, and as well as from your reputation, right?
Right.
We all love getting those notices in the mail, and this is a little bit of a different topic, but we all love getting those notices in the mail that our data's been breached or it's out there. It's kind of the same
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
You kind of lose trust in those companies a little bit, and you want an alternative.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so knowing that your data is free of corruption when an attack occurs, and being able to detect and this kind of goes back to both the principal technologies paper and report that you just spoke about, as well as our SLA. So our
Right.
SLA really helps our customers maintain that confidence level, knowing that we are doing everything that we possibly can when we release a software candidate, and giving
Right.
that over to you, our partners, so that you can implement that. And
Yeah.
then, what this ultimately leads to is the supporting of continuous accuracy to make sure that we are detecting that corruption, that we're detecting that behavior, especially whether it's a new variant, an old
Mhm.
variant, something that has ultimately resurfaced. It's really, again, that behavioral aspect that we're looking at. So it's a bit
Yeah.
more of a holistic uh,
Hmm.
approach to looking at ransomware, rather than just kind of trying to detect it, say, at the front door through a firewall or something
Hmm.
along those lines.
Right.
Um, but the result
Yeah.
is really that we're looking to help our customers. We're helping to help them minimize data loss, minimize any IT loss associated with it, storage, et cetera. And then, again, minimize the cost and the pain associated with recovering from um, a ransomware attack through a smarter, more curated recovery, so that you have that
Yeah.
confidence
Yeah.
that the data that you're going to recover is clean, and
Yeah.
you can bring
Yeah.
it back into production without the risk of having another detonation of ransomware.
You hit
Um,
round the head. Restoring data that doesn't have the true integrity. You think you're recovering from your cyber attack, and you restore the variance back into your environment. You're back at it again, square one. Hit again.
yeah.
So you're starting all over. So good point. Yeah.
And one quick last point on this too. We have introduced a new feature with our latest release too. Is It's called the Data Integrity Report, and this is a
Mhm.
window into
Mhm.
your data integrity. So I think this is great, right? Everything that we just talked about, from having that, but having it in a full picture right there in front of you, so that you
Mhm.
understand when an alert is triggered, something needs to be done. You also understand what data you have that is clean, and that you're able to instantly start that recovery process. Shut down what you need to shut down, spin up what you need to spin up, and start
Right.
working on that smart recovery.
There you go. Smart recoveries. I love it.
Brian, we've been partners now for about 5 years, Dell and
Mhm.
CyberSense. Um, I hear there's a new offering and a faster way to help deploy PowerProtect Cyber Recovery with CyberSense. And and this is really, again, trying to get folks up and running even quicker.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us just kind of some of the benefits of what that might be for a customer, or
Mhm.
even for someone who's considering looking at PowerProtect Cyber Recovery with CyberSense.
Awesome. So we introduced something called our Cyber Recovery Hybrid Deployment. And the hybrid deployment allows for cyber recovery and CyberSense to actually arrive at the customer site already pre-built and configured. Originally, when you order PowerProtect and Cyber Recovery, you're getting servers, you're getting storage, they're coming in different boxes. You have to unbox them. You got to have your rack there. You got to put them in your rack. You got to do your networks. Well, what we're doing now is we have an integrator that basically does all that for you, right? It takes the customer's order, builds it out in a rack, right? It actually installs and does a basic configuration, and then it's shipped directly to the customer site. And then we have someone there to help them plug it in, put the networks in, get things up and running a whole lot faster. So you're talking weeks that it could have been before to days that you're talking about now, right? Customers get a shorter time to value. When you buy cyber recovery, with CyberSense, you buy it. I want it installed, and I want it already chugging away to
Yep.
find if I got any corruption in my environment. So the faster we get this into the customer's hands and deployed and running, right, the faster they'll be able to mitigate any of the risks that they have in the environment. So less time on site and no additional cost. This is just the way it's being sold as we move forward. So I think that's a great piece right there, the hybrid deployment. And then all flash. So everybody wants all flash, right? So right now we have Apex Protection Storage, all flash for cyber recovery. But let me make sure you understand. Apex Protection Storage is actually built on PowerProtect Data Domain Virtual Edition, all right? A lot of people just call it DDVE.
Yep.
It's Apex Protection Storage now. That's what we call it. So this all flash for cyber recovery release really is a reference architect. This is built on a PowerEdge R760, right, using 16G, and deployed on VMware. It's basically a 220 terabyte image using all flash that gives you faster analytics with CyberSense, right? It gives you faster restores, and the customers, you can utilize less space for large capacity deployment. So we're talking petabytes of data here. Woo, you're saving about 56%, up to 56% less usage space in itself deploying the Apex Protection Storage all flash for cyber recovery. And that's protecting up to like 1.5 petabytes of data. That's a lot of data. And it also shrinks a lot of the resources that happen inside the building, rack space, operational costs, all these things come into play to help streamline, right? Faster analytics, faster recovery, right? All these things is what we want for the customers, to be able to detect any issues in their environment sooner and smarter, right? In order for them to recover in case of a ransomware attack. So we
So
love
yeah,
it.
so faster deployment, faster detection,
Yeah.
just putting the lightning bolt, right? This is the Lightning McQueen version. Putting the
That's
putting the
it.
lightning bolt, the ka-chow into cyber recovery. That's just fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
So, Brian, we have covered a lot of ground here, but alas, it's time to wrap things up. I think we can boil this conversation down to a couple of things in what we've talked about. And I believe the first one is confidence. And then I think one of the other ones that kind of goes right next to that is data integrity. And this is what CyberSense brings to the table as far as, we go back to both the Principal Technologies report, we go back to our SLA, and this is really what we're bringing to our customers, to our joint customers, is our promise to help you detect ransomware at an extremely high level, and for us that's 4 nines of accuracy. and it's regardless of the variants too, right? Whether it's a new variant, whether it is an older variant, we're looking at those patterns of behavior to help detect, where the ransomware is, how the extent of the attack, and giving our customers that level of confidence that their data has the highest level of integrity that we could possibly offer. Uh, from there, I just think, the other aspect around confidence is that we're enabling that smart recovery. Uh, we're going to give you the details. We're going to boil it down through forensic reporting, down to the lowest common denominator, to where we can help our customers, our joint customers, identify what has been corrupted, identify what data is there, so that we can minimize the effects of a particular cyber attack. And this gives everybody the ability to recover intelligently and quickly, right? You in your section, you
Yeah.
talked about fast, right? This
Yep.
the longer you're down, the more trouble you're going to have getting back up, right? So
Yeah.
we want to help our customers get back up and running as soon as possible. And this again leads back to that SLA that was validated through our partner ESG, as well as Principal Technologies. So I think those are my takeaways, Brian.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about what you think your key takeaway from this discussion was.
Hey, the bad guys are coming. Ransomware is out there. Companies are getting hit left and right. And you need confidence. You need a partner. And Dell, CyberSense, index engines working together for all these years, using PowerProtect Cyber Recovery with CyberSense gives you that confidence that if you are, I want to say if is when you are hit with a cyber attack, we want to put you in a position that you're confident that you can recover your data. And that's really where the partnership goes, right? And that's how we're expanding and building that trust between the two companies, right? And you as a third company, right? As your business. We want to see your business thrive. We want your revenue to continue growing. But you can't do that if you're down from a cyber attack. So the faster you can get back up from a cyber attack, but more accurate, being smarter, that's the key that you want to have. So, I think, like I said, bad guys are coming, but we're right there helping you with recovering from those bad guys.
That's great. And we don't want you to duck and cover when the bad guys come, right? We want you to be able to
Right.
take them head on. And
Yep.
and I think, with Power Protect, cyber recovery with CyberSense, we're giving you that ability. You can take the hit and
Yep.
have that plan in place to be able to recover. I think that's our biggest joint value proposition right there is we're going to give you that confidence
Yep.
that your data has integrity, that you can recover quickly, and with minimum damage. So that's great. Brian, I can't thank you enough for joining me on this discussion today. Thank you all for listening. What I do have some homework for everybody, depending on where you're watching this. Please look in the caption and/or the comments for some details, some assets around what we spoke about today. So we're going to leave you with that. Once again, thank you very much for joining us here on CyberSense Insights Connect.